If you've ever discovered that your brake caliper has a leak, particularly in the seals inside of the caliper where the pistons are, you've quickly found out that Shimano doesn't sell parts for your calipers, and so you pretty much have to replace the entire caliper to fix the leak. I didn't want to go down that route, at least not yet. I mean, if you look at this is a M985 caliper. It's my front brake. This is actually a really nice piece of hardware here. It's highly polished. Probably cost me a lot of money when I first bought it. And my camera's focusing on the wrong thing. And so I figured I'm going to try and fix this myself if there's any way to do it. And so that's what I'm going to show here. Hopefully this ends well for me and doesn't end in just buying a new caliper. One thing I learned after I bought some new parts is that this caliper is a one-piece caliper. There is no way to take this apart. Most of the videos I watched showed screws on the caliper where you could take it apart into two pieces, which would have certainly made it easier to get the pistons out. And so yeah, I had a little bit of a challenge there. I have no idea what that 5-star hole bolt there in them. I don't even know what to call it. I don't know what it is. It's not a Torx. It must be some kind of proprietary Shimano bolt. I have not been able to find a tool for it, so it stays. What I've done so far, as you can see, one of the pistons is already out. When the caliper was on the bike, I just pumped the brake until the piston that I wanted to have came out, and I held the other one in with basically this steel ruler. And so eventually the piston came out and leaked fluid all over the place, but this was the one that's been leaking. Actually, I think they're both leaking, but this is one I'm going to try and work on first. And the other thing I did is I took a real small screwdriver and I pulled the seal out along with the piston and tried to clean up what's going on inside the hole, which wasn't a whole lot of dirt. So there's our felon. Woo. It doesn't look bad. I don't notice any cracks or anything. The only thing I'm noticing is when I pulled the washer or the seal out, see how it just fell off? It's pretty kind of loosey-goosey around the little ceramic piston itself. Now granted, when it's in the brake, it might not be so loose, but out on its own, it's really loose, like almost like it's not the right size. So I'm thinking, is it possible that the cause of the leak is just wear on the inside of the seal? And so over time, it just got worn to be a slightly larger size, and now it's leaking? I don't know, because it doesn't visually look like there's anything wrong with it. The piston doesn't appear to have any cracks. Sometimes people pull these out and it just falls apart because it's broken. The piston looks fine. Looks like a lifesaver or a breath freshener or something, but anyway. So this rebuild kit, purchased off of eBay, came from China directly, and quite frankly, the transaction went just fine. Paid for it, and about a week later or so, it was actually in my mailbox. I did have to contact the seller to get a tracking number, and they actually sent one. And so this is as close to a replacement part as I've been able to find for a Shimano brake. So opening this up, I mean, the reason why I wanted this kit is that it had seals for everything, not just the pistons. So there's a banjo bolt right here that has a bunch of seals on it. And as it turns out, the hydraulic line that feeds this brake, it also has 2 washers on it. And that also I found has some leaks in it, so I'm going to be replacing that as well. But nonetheless, after pulling all this stuff apart, I wanted some new washers, and this was the only kit that I found that really had everything. So when I pull this out, this is one of the pistons. They looks a little different than the Shimano one. It's cleaner. And give me a second here to put the washer on, and I'll see if it's any tighter. All right, so I got the washer on the new piston, and certainly is tighter. I mean, it's not loosey-goosey like the other one is. Yeah, the other one, once again, I can put the washer on, and then if I just set the piston down, it just falls right off. Doesn't do it with the new one. Visually, I can't tell the difference. I mean, if there's a difference between the washers, seals, whatever you want to call them, I really can't tell what it is. They don't appear to be beveled. They don't appear to be, the new one doesn't look any thinner or thicker. It looks like about the same thing. It, might be of poorer quality. I don't know. I guess we will find out if I can figure out how to get this freaking thing into here. But that's going to be the plan. I'm not going to sit there and have you watch me try and do that. Probably will be a lot of swear words involved, but hopefully I can get this seal and piston into there. And we'll see if this is actually a rebuild kit worth buying from, which is clearly a knockoff from Hope. That logo looks a whole lot like Hope, only it's Heppe. Okay, good job, Chinese guys. All right. Hope to see you in the next video, and hopefully I have a reassembled caliper at that time. Well, to my surprise, the seal went in really easy. And just luckily my fingers kind of fit in there a little bit. And within a couple seconds, I just kind of worked it in there and boop, popped in. So that's good. Step 1 done. Step 2 is going to be pushing in the piston. So once again, I'm not going to have you watch me do that, but I'll try and get that in, and hopefully there will be no cuss words. All right, so it wasn't fun, but the new piston's in. Yeah, that was hard. That was quite difficult to get that in there. What I ended up doing is using this heavy-duty monster tool I just happen to have. I don't even know what it's for. It's something to do with my car junk. Push that kind of in there and push the piston back, and it went in. Hopefully it comes back out like a piston's supposed to when the hydraulic fluid's back in there. So to get the other one out, I saw online people were saying, oh, use water and all sorts of stuff, and the one technique that seemed to be the most realistic to me was to use an air compressor. So this is my air compressor, little weird tip on there. I stuck that basically in where the banjo bolt would go, and because this new piston is really in there, which might prove to be detrimental, the other old piston just came shooting right out. But looky here. Whoops. I mean, I don't think the air compressor did that. I was only pushing like, I don't even know if it was 50 psi, but when this thing came out, it came out in pieces. And I'm pretty sure both sides of my caliper were leaking, and well, that would certainly be a reason for a leak, a broken ceramic piston. So who knows, maybe I'm doing some good here. Maybe I'm still looking at a replacement caliper if these new seals and pistons don't work, but to me that would say problem. So hey, one more piston has to be pressed in, and then we put this back. Well, all right, folks, the brakes are back on the bike. This is the worst lighting in the world. I'm doing this in my basement. Sorry about that. I replaced this cable, or this cable. I had a crack further up on the bike, and unfortunately because of this end piece on here, you had to replace the whole cable, and there's some teeny little washers in here. But that went fine. And actually, it went together perfect. I figured for sure that the first piston I put in that was a real bear to push it back in was going to just hang. But it just seems to be working. As far as I can tell, it's centered, it's going on, it's coming off. Pretty happy about that so far. So a little Heppe brake update kit or whatever I got, it seems okay. What I'm sure most of you probably want to know is, well, what about long term? Is this going to last as long as the Shimano parts did? I might be the wrong person to answer that question, for the reason that this is a bike I don't ride a whole lot. I'm a roadie and this is my mountain bike. So if this lasts for a couple thousand miles, I'll be happy, because that could be years. But nonetheless, I'm pretty happy that I didn't have to buy a new caliper, at least not yet. Once again, on eBay, purchased that Heppe piston kit. You don't really take much risk when you buy things over eBay, even though it's a foreign seller, because if you don't get the product, you just tell eBay, hey, I never got it, and they'll give you your money back. So, hey, if you find yourself in this nasty position of having some kind of a Shimano caliper that has either broken seals or broken pistons, rather than buying a whole new caliper, maybe give this a chance if you've got some tools and some time. The hardest part for sure was just getting the pistons back into the caliper. I did put a little bit of silicone grease on the piston, and I guess on the seal. Hopefully that doesn't bite me in the butt in the future, but that helped get the piston back into the caliper a little bit. And I just happen to have enough tools laying around that I was able to really get some pressure onto the pistons to push them back in while the caliper is off the bike. So anyway, I hope this video was useful to you, and enjoy your ride.